What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the 15th of December. We are about 3 hours into the new day. We have a full 20 hours, 58 minutes left in the day. Sitting at about $101,000, 830 there. You guys hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. You know, we're sitting still at the top of this consolidation area here, and before we get into the more immediate stuff, I want to just point something out that I was looking at on the weekly time frame before I started this video here. It's not the most like scientific method, I'll admit, but it is something that adds to the idea that we might be moving up here pretty soon, right? This weekly RSI, first and foremost, is really bullish, and it's more bullish than for the reason what I'm about to tell you guys. But I want to go through the whole history of Bitcoin here, and I want to actually first I want to look at the price, and I want to identify the bull cycles. Okay, so this is not going to be one of my like long-term Bitcoin videos. I just kind of want to identify where the end of each bull cycle was, right? So from end there, and then this was the beginning of that one, right? And then so maybe I'll just make a green line for the beginning. Oh, that does go to the RSI. Okay, cool. And then an end there. We'll make that white. Maybe I'll just go through and do all the ends white and then all the beginnings green. And there. And there. I have a point, I promise you. I think that was the end of the bull cycle. Not here. And of course, we haven't ended this bull cycle yet. So we've got one end, one start so far. I want this start down here. We'll make that green, and then the rest of them can be green too. I have a point that I'm going to make. I promise you guys. You know, that's our low there. I would say that's kind of where we started the bull market. I don't know if we didn't start the bull market till here, right? When we started moving up, right? This is our low of the bear market. I would move this over maybe a little bit, maybe to like right here, because we just went sideways for a long time, right? Anyways, and the same kind of idea here. We went sideways for a little bit, so I'm going to put it right there. Okay. White means end, green means beginning. That's all you have to know. Okay, now we're going to go into the RSI. And here's the part that I thought was interesting. The reason why these lines are there are so that we can kind of gather where we are in a bull phase, right? You know that you're in a bull phase when you're in between the green and the white. When you're in between the white and the green, this is what they call a bear market phase, right? And that's what we kind of just established to give us a kind of frame of perspective here. So what I want to do, and I'm sorry, I just shook the camera. I want to analyze the RSI, but specifically just for bull market performance. I don't want any of the bear market performance. You can see, right, whenever it goes white to green, the RSI looks a lot different than whenever it goes green to white, right? You can see the differences, right? Bear market, bull market. So I don't think now in a bull market, I don't think it'll help us to analyze the data that's not appropriate for the cycle that we're in right now, for the period in Bitcoin that we're in right now. Now what I want to do is I want to take a horizontal line and I want to put it at the 90 level. Just the 90 level. It's not specific, right? Bitcoin doesn't really stop at this level. It's just a psychological level at the 90. You know, the RSI only goes as high as 100, so the top 10 readings from 90 to 100, I just want to measure that, right? Because Bitcoin on a weekly basis in its bull cycles, it goes above the 90 fairly often. Fairly often. Now what I want to do is I want to measure the longest amount of time that we've seen between peaks. Maybe I shouldn't say between peaks. What I should say is between when we're in the 90 or in the zone that's above the 90, how long it's taken us whenever we've gotten out of it to come back into it. What's the longest stretch of being outside of the 90 area on a weekly perspective on the RSI? That's what I want to go for, and specifically in the bull market. So here, the green line, that's the beginning of the bull market. Okay, I know this is a little bit abstract, but just bear with me. It might kind of add to the momentum that I'm going for by the end of this video. Green was the start. Here's the white line. That's above the 90, right? It took us about 30. Let's actually it was here 37 weeks. 37 weeks from the start of the bull market to where we actually got above the 90. That's the longest stint so far that we've had where Bitcoin has been under the 90 in a bull market on the weekly perspective. We go to this next stint here. You're above the 90 here, and then that was 24 weeks. So 37 weeks, 24 weeks, not that long. End of the bull market here, but it's still the bull market, right? And then you were overbought here above the 90. It took you until this week here. That was 31 weeks. So 37, 31, that's kind of like the longest stint you've seen. Now we're not going to measure from here because this is the bear market. We don't need any of this, right? Here, and again, it's not between peaks. That's why I'm not measuring peaks. I'm just measuring how long does it take us to get above the 90 in any bull market that we've seen so far, right? And here's the green line. Here's the beginning of the bull market. This was pretty close. You didn't get above the 90, but that's pretty close. I almost want to count that as a, like if we made this metric instead of above the 90, if we made it like above 88.73, then that would be 43 months there. I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to include that because I think if I don't include it in this count at 43, I feel like it's going to be really long. And this is fine. We can go with it 71, keep it true to the idea that we're going for here. But 71 weeks, that's pretty long. I don't think we've seen anything longer than that. Certainly none of these periods are longer than 71 weeks. And then something else to mention, I guess, is going back here to the first cycle. The longest, or not the first cycle, technically this is the second cycle. The longest stint that we saw was 37 weeks without being above the 90, and that was the first time getting into the 90, right? That was the beginning of the bull cycle. Same thing here. The longest stint that it took for you, it was getting into the bull cycle, the beginning half of the bull cycle. But then later, you saw more frequent attempts into the 90, if that makes sense. Less attempts than the first cycle, but still, actually, more attempts than the second cycle, I should say, or just as many. There's 3 attempts here above and 3 attempts here above. A lot more in the first cycle. Let's keep going, though. I'm not going to measure these because, I can just do this one real quick, actually, just to get kind of an idea. 27, 24, seems to be a little bit of an average. 31, kind of at the end of the cycle there. We go to the next cycle. Green means go, right? We didn't get above the 90 here. So from the green line to how long it took us to get above the 90. This is our last cycle, the weakest cycle that we've ever seen so far, and that actually took us down. That was 91 weeks to get above the 90 level there. Okay, so a very long amount of time there. Here we are. And we only did it once. Here we are already this cycle having seen readings above the 90, right? We got it right here, 62 weeks. Okay, the stint that we're in the middle of right now from this week to where we are has been about 40 weeks. 40 weeks. So we go back and we look at time and we see that normally we see stints in the beginning of the bull markets that are longer outside of the 90. And I know it's a bunch of stuff here, but just roll with it, right? This long attempt here, this was the beginning of the bull market, the first attempt above the 90. That's the longest stint that we had. And then same thing here, although this was the only attempt you had above the 90 last cycle. Again, this cycle, we had a long stint from the beginning of the cycle to where we actually broke above the 90 read on the RSI. That was 62 weeks. 62, 91, 71, 37, right? It's always been the longest stint at first. But then afterwards, we see stints that are like 27 weeks. Even here, actually, if we get this one too, which I didn't measure, which I should have measured, 22 weeks, 27 weeks, 31 weeks, 24 weeks, right? Those are the longest that we've seen after that first stint. This time, however, we've seen 40 weeks, right? Which is longer. And I hope this is all making sense. I know it's kind of like scattered. It is a bit of an abstract thought, but what I'm trying to get to, if it's not clear already, is essentially looking at the RSI, even with these larger gaps in mind, right? Because all of those larger gaps, every single one that was on a larger side of the cycle as far as gaps between being under the 90 on the RSI and then getting into the 90 on the RSI. That always started in the beginning of the cycle, and that makes sense because when you're starting a cycle, you're at the lows in the RSI. It's going to take you more time to get to the highs. It makes sense. But then once you've already hit these levels, once you're underway, once you've caught your stride with Bitcoin and you're above these levels, above the 90 in the RSI, you're more likely to frequent this area, right? That's kind of the idea. And once you've hit your stride, historically, we've seen 24 weeks, 31 weeks, 22 weeks, 27 weeks, and then here we didn't really get a second attempt. I guess that was what, from December 2020 to February 2021, 2 months. It's like 8, 9, 10 weeks, something like that, right? Not long stints at all on the second attempts to the 90, right? Here we are, 62 for the first one. I'm going to delete all these little white circles because there's enough going on here, right? We're at 40 weeks now. All I'm trying to say, you guys, is a lot of people are assuming that here we are, above 100K, at the 100K zone. We're in a psychological area of resistance. We're going to reject down. We're going to pull all the way back down to 70K, 40K, 80K, whatever your number may be. But the weekly RSI itself, beyond what I'm going over here, there's other things, and we'll go over some more bullish stuff with the weekly RSI as well that I think is pretty significant based on similar stuff as this, but just this kind of abstract idea of how frequent in the bull markets do we appear above the 90. Last cycle was a weak cycle. We had a lot of economic setbacks in the world, not just for Bitcoin, but for the world economy and world markets thereover. It's different circumstances now. I would expect, and it's already showing from the beginning of our cycle, it took us less time, significantly less time, about 30 weeks less than the last cycle to get to these stronger readings, right? And we actually had two peaks very close to this 90 read where it took us about 90 weeks just to get our first peak there, right? I guess here this is pretty close to the 90 to be fair as well. And then 40 weeks after, that's a long stint. That's a, I would say, above average amount of time for a bull market to not experience readings in the 90 zone. So my thoughts are, to just wrap it all up in case it's not clear, is that we're not going to stop here. Right? I don't think, even though we're hot on the RSI, and we can just delete all that stuff that I had there, right? We don't need any of that anymore. I think the picture's got, if you don't get the picture, you need to see that data again, just replay the video. You've got it, right? 82.6 seems like hot on the RSI. A lot of people, they see this and they're like, oh, it's not a good time to buy. You want to buy down here. And that's true most of the time, right? You want to buy down in these areas, not buy up in these areas. But this is just getting started, right? It's just getting started. If we look at Bitcoin, the last time that we actually got to these levels, let's see, these exact same levels here, and this is the more bullish stuff that I was talking about with the RSI, beyond what we just went over. If we look at Bitcoin, the last time it was at these levels, whenever it first got to these levels, it was November 2023, okay? November 2023, it was this phase here, right? It was this move up. We chilled for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, and then on the 9th week, we broke out, right? Here, we've been chilling for 4 weeks. I personally don't see us chilling. I keep saying chilling. I don't see us staying in this area for another 4 weeks. But hey, we kind of did that last time. You know what I mean? We did kind of do that last time. And even then, when we were at higher readings at the chill point here, higher readings in the RSI, we still didn't have too dramatic of a pullback, right? That pullback from a high to low wasn't even 30%. Yeah, it was 21%, right? So not saying that 21% isn't quote unquote dramatic or wouldn't suck a little bit, but 21%, that takes us down to not even below 80K. So at its worst, Bitcoin would go not even below 80K. And if that were to happen, you know, within the next 4 weeks, based off of the last instance that we had this, we would still be on our next move up. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think really what we're doing right now is I would compare this move, pretty comparable to this move here. Obviously, it looks like it's a little bit stronger. It's moved up faster in a shorter amount of time, right? I would also expect that this consolidation phase is going to be in a shorter amount of time as well. So I think that we are about to break out. I think that exactly as this last move shows that we were in this area in the RSI, right? We were right here in price. If this was an overall move right here, we were not even halfway through the move, right? And we actually, at this point, hadn't even really been consolidating too much. This is when we started to consolidate. It was after we got above the 90 read, right? You can see it here on the weekly RSI. I'm going to put a vertical line down there. We started to consolidate here after we hit above the 90, right? We're not above the 90 now. Or actually, that's the 82, but we're still not above. Oh, I guess we weren't. It's because of that white line there. I had it at the 90. That's not the 90, but still, that was 88 above where we're at now. Replace whenever I said 90 over the past like 2 minutes. Replace that, because I got that stuck from the beginning of the video. Replace that with the readings that we're at now. Okay, so higher readings. At higher readings, right? And then we began to chill. We're already chilling here. We're already hanging out here for the past 4 weeks. I think when we pursue higher readings, we're not going to get 1 week like this and then stop and move sideways again. I think we're going to get this next leg up is kind of my theory, right? That's what I'm expecting. So the weekly RSI is not bearish being in the overbought zone. Absolutely not. I know that was the main focus of this video. Now let's get into the more short-term stuff and wrap this bad boy up. I hope you guys are liking the video so far. If you are, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. It's not really, again, the most like clean kind of dynamic that I'm going over, right? It's a bit abstract. I wouldn't even say it's like super abstract. It's just not like, I would say super scientific. The real metric that I'm going for is just kind of like when could we expect the next above 90 read? And I think based off of the very simple analysis that we all just did together, I think it's conclusive that we are overdue for our next run above the 90, which tells me that on the weekly RSI, I don't think we're going to pull back from here. Or if we do, it's just a matter of time before we see that run, right? It wouldn't be like a dramatic pullback from here is what I'm thinking, right? We're not going to get one of these from here or one of these. It'd be like something like this at the worst, right? And it would continue us at higher readings. Anyways, daily RSI, bouncing off this area, nice area to bounce off of. Got below the 60, bouncing back up above the 60, looking bullishly charged for sure. If we look at the 4-hour RSI, also looking bullishly charged. You're getting overbought, you're not getting oversold. You're seeing readings, and here's another thing too, right? Above the 60 is the bullish area of control. Below the 40 is the bearish area of control. You're seeing, I would say, more readings lately above the bullish area of control than you are below the bearish area of control, right? I think you're seeing more readings. So that tells me also you're just more bullishly charged. Overall, it is kind of a neutral looking RSI for the time being, but that makes sense too because the price overall has kind of been relatively neutral as well, hasn't it? But with a bullish lean, right? We've spent more time on the upper ends of the targets than the lower ends of the targets. I do believe we're moving higher. It could be starting today. I'm a little bit disappointed. I was hoping that yesterday we'd get that Saturday pump. We'd get that weekend getaway pump, right? It could be today, and even if it's not today, you guys, within this next week, by the end of this next week, I very much do believe Bitcoin will be on its way to 120K. If we're not at 120K by the end of this next week, I would suspect that we are at the very least at new all-time highs and likely on our way, if not above already, 110K. By the end of this next week, right? We're on Sunday right now. It's the end of this week right now, so I'm talking about 7 days from now. I guess like 7 days and 20 hours from now. We're going to be at least at like 110K, somewhere around there, if not higher. We really could be at 120K within a week from now. I very much do believe that we're about to break out. If the question at all throughout this whole video has presented itself as, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? What should I do? If that's the question that you're asking yourself, the answer, at least from my perspective, would be yes, it is a good time to buy. It absolutely is. I know that might sound weird, and I know most people probably wouldn't be saying that whenever we are 2% away from the all-time highs right now, but I do think it's a good time to buy. I'm going to advocate the buy every single video that I make from now on until probably the end of the year. I think it's a great time to buy. If you want to catch this next move, you got to get in now. It doesn't matter if you want to get into Bitcoin or any other crypto, but crypto is about to move up, you guys. So take any money that's on the side, park it in something, get it into something, because we are about to rally. I don't know if I have anything else that I want to say. The price hasn't moved too much, right? I mean, yesterday we literally opened and closed negative 0.05%, so there's not really too much new stuff going on. I wanted to offer this kind of different perspective on the weekly RSI and just show you guys what I'm kind of seeing, what I'm expecting in the charts, and why I truly do believe that this weekly RSI is bullish in this position, not bearish in this position, right? I mean, you can just see bull market behavior. Generally, you do live in these areas, so it's not a bad thing, right? It's definitely not a bad thing. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Hit that like button if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. The next target for Bitcoin, we're sitting at $101,862 right now. The next target undeniably is $123. When I say undeniably, I just mean if you know anything about fibs, if you're a fib analysis type of person, fib analysis minded person like I am, you know that breaking above any golden ratio zone is significant, right? And they kind of work in like a stair-stepping ladder tier kind of way. What I mean is you break above this 61869, the next golden ratio is here. You break above that, the next golden ratio is here, right? And it keeps going up, right? You break above this golden ratio on the first attempt like it's butter, like it's easy, like you don't even have to think about it. You just did it, no problem. And then afterwards, for the last 3 weeks, you found support on it. When it comes to statistics, like if there was a compilation of data and statistical evidence of the fibs and this kind of formation here where you break above the 1618 on your first attempt and you continue to find support on it for the subsequent weeks afterwards, all of that data, like 90% of that data would show that you just rocket right up to your 2272 at least, if not all the way up to your 2618. Like this is the next zone that you have. And I could probably go through and show a plethora of examples of that if I really wanted to, but I don't know if I do want to. I mean, let's see. Maybe we can find an example even in this cycle. High to low here, right? Look at this. You went right above your 1618 here. You literally went to it. You did wick down below it, but look, you were closing above it for like 3 weeks. You found support off it, and then boom, went right to your 2272. And where did you actually top off? You topped off right at, that was that was the wrong fib to delete. Right at the 2618. It's like you went to the 2272, 2618 zone. You even went a little bit past it, right? Just kind of validating what I'm saying here. I wonder if there's other examples. I mean, not. I don't wonder. I know there are other examples, but let's just see high to low here. Look at that. All the way up, you tore through your 1618. You tore through it. Found support on it, and where'd you go? You went to your 2272. It's the bottom of the range, but you literally, that was where your all-time high was. That's where you tipped. You teased it right here. Found support on the 1618 again, showing that significance of this 1618 bounce going to the 2272, right? And this was a weak cycle last cycle. If anybody's asking, I thought Bitcoin didn't go to the 2272 last cycle. It didn't. This isn't the cycle high to cycle low fib. It's just the COVID crash fib. But, you know, I could keep going through and just show you guys this exact same thing over and over again. But, I mean, the reality is I've done this for over 8 years now. We could go through all the charts you want, and they're going to show you the same stuff that I'm telling you now. At least 90% of them will. So whenever I tell you this, whenever I tell you all these things with the weekly RSI, whenever I tell you these things with the fibs here, I'm not just saying it because I'm bullishly charged, I'm bullish-minded, and I am. I definitely want to see the price go up. I think everybody does, and I do believe it's going to. But beyond my own beliefs, beyond my own convictions, the charts are displaying all the evidence we need to tell us that we're not just going to move up today, tomorrow, but over the weeks, over the months. We've got a lot of growth to go, my friends. So with that, I really do leave you. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you all. Bye-bye.